Recording. Cool. Well, welcome. We'll go ahead and get started if that's cool with y'all. But yeah, thanks so much for joining our military transition panel. So excited to be part of San Antonio Startup Week this year. Just really fun. My name is Haley Mercer. I am part of the admissions team at Codeup, but I'll be moderating this afternoon's panel. So some of y'all might be familiar with Codeup already, but for those who aren't, we are a tech career accelerator that helps adults transition their career into either data science or web development. So we do this through our 22-week program where you'll learn not only all the technical skills it takes to launch your career in either of those two fields, but also we have professional development and job placement services to make sure that you land your first job once you graduate from Codeup. But yeah, so to kick things off, I would love for our two panelists to simply introduce yourselves, maybe state your name, the class you graduated with, and maybe your current job title. We'll do that. Who wants to start? Jeff. She knows.
Wait, no, I thought it was ladies first, right? Dang it. Oh, well. Sure, I'll go. Hi, guys. I'm Jeff Roeder, and I was in the Bayes cohort for the data science program, which ended January of 2020. And I am now a decision science analyst for USAA. Oh, and I was in the Navy for 12 years.
Nice. Thank you.
My name is Taryn, and I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years, and I was in the Fortuna Codeup cohort. We graduated June of 2020.
Sweet. Yeah, so both 2020 graduates, very cool. Well, since y'all are alumni of each program, I thought it would be helpful for the audience to hear maybe a definition of what data science and web development is. So can y'all just give a quick summary of each? Taryn, we can start with you.
Okay, web development is kind of like, I just described it to my coworkers as the gateway drug. It kind of opens you up to other languages. You just build websites and applications that serve a purpose and make, I don't know, make data visualization, I don't know. Yeah, I can't really give you a good definition.
That was perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so data science is kind of the combination of using data, statistics, and programming to help us make decisions through machine learning and all sorts of other fancy buzzwords that people like to use. But yeah, ultimately it's using data and statistics to make decisions.
Beautiful. That was well said. Better than I could have explained. But yeah, y'all both military veterans, mentioned that. If y'all could kind of more specifically share what you were doing like in the Navy, like your day-to-day and your role. Jeff, we'll keep just going back and forth. Start with you.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds good. Yeah, I was in the Navy for 12 years. I was a cryptologic technician interpretive, which is just a fancy way to say that I was a linguist, and I did a lot of intel. So for me, it was a really good transition to go from that to go into data science because I was already working with data and analytics and that. So I did 6 years active duty and 6 years in the reserves. Deployed 3 times and decided not to stay. So yeah.
Thank you.
Taryn, sorry. Okay, so I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years. I did combat videography, but you can hold the combat because I was never actually deployed. I got stationed in Hawaii, very difficult place to live, and we just basically recorded and did like change of command ceremonies, promotion photos. We also ran the base printing. So we did like pamphlets and graphic design, definitely filled in every little area of that little shop of combat camera.
That's really cool. I didn't know that you were stationed in Hawaii, but I could see that being kind of difficult to live there. But yeah, how did you hear of Codeup? Did you move back to like mainland and were interested in web development? What was kind of your story behind how you got interested in a career in web development?
I went to Savannah College of Art and Design after I got out of the Marine Corps, and my degree is a bachelor's in interactive design and game development. It kind of actually falls under digital media, but we did a little bit of coding in there. It was a little pseudo JavaScript or not JavaScript, it was Java. I really liked it. And then as soon as I moved on here to Texas, I really just wanted to learn more about it and get into a job field that wasn't design. I wanted to actually develop things and not just kind of make things look pretty. I wanted to make them functional.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And Jeff too, kind of have similar, y'all's backgrounds were, correlated with data science and web development, which you mentioned already had that background in some data, doing it in the Navy. How did you hear of Codeup, Jeff?
Yeah, so I was working as a healthcare financial analyst. So I was still in the data arena and was messing with data a little bit, but I knew that there was something more that I was like, man, there's got to be a better way or more that I can do with this. And I was kind of unhappy with the job that I was doing. And actually had a friend that was a data scientist at USAA, and she's like, hey, have you seen those billboards around town for Codeup? She's like, I heard they were starting a data science program. And I was like, what? And I looked at the curriculum, and it was exactly what I was looking for. And I found out that they were certified to be able to use the GI Bill and all of that. And I met up with Sarah and Dimitri and realized it was a perfect fit, and then got accepted and moved on.
The rest was history. That's cool. That's good that you kind of had that connection with someone working in the field. I'm sure that was really helpful. But yeah, you worked with Dimitri and Sarah in admissions and started your journey in Codeup. What was your experience like in the program?
Yeah, you want me to talk about going through the program or the admissions part?
Yeah, we'll talk about just the program itself.
Sure,
kind of what class was like and some of your projects.
Yeah, class was great. It was awesome. It was a lot of lab, a lot of hands-on experience, which is what I was needing. I already had a bachelor's degree, so I'd kind of already done the whole go to class and do lectures all week. But for me, I really liked the fact that it was very heavy project-based and heavy lab-based. So there was a lot of hands-on coding, a lot of learning and applying statistics to real-world problems. So for me, the program was great, and it was exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, Taryn, you have kind of you have your bachelor's, so you're very familiar with going to lecture. But what was your experience like going through the web development program? And I guess y'all could share maybe your favorite project. That might be fun for the audience.
My experience in the program was actually very positive. I never really had a moment where I was questioning, should I continue doing this program? It was always, wow, I learned something cool today. And it was like a high of, hey, I figured this out and I did it all on my own. This is so cool. I want to keep doing it. The instructors were super helpful. There was never a moment where you felt like you were dumb. I mean, you always felt like you were dumb, but it was never somebody making you feel that way. It's a very humbling experience, and I don't know, I'd do it all over again.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's fun to watch y'all. It's fast paced. So getting to watch y'all just learn a crazy amount, especially working in admissions, getting to see, from day one all the way to, now these panels are really rewarding. But yeah, if y'all could just talk about maybe one project that was the most fun for you. That way, some of the audience members can get a feel of what it is that you get to work on through the program. Got to dig back. I know it was a while ago. Let y'all sit and think real quick. It's a curveball. Jeff?
Yeah, let me think for a second. Which project? Well, I would say that the capstone was pretty fun for me. So the capstone, it was a 3-week project that we did, and we did it with 3 other people, or 2 to 3 other people, depending on the group. And ours was predicting wholesale coffee prices for Colombian coffee. And it was cool being able to use weather data and use economic data and stuff like that to be able to look and like gain insights into how prices were affected. And being able to kind of share that, because you get to present it at the end to a big group of people. So it was cool for them to be interested in something and to be able to see the insights and share those with 100 people, and for them to be asking you questions and you actually understand what you're talking about, because it's kind of your final wrap up project. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Because y'all are working with just things so, like, as they present it to family and friends and staff members, as well as employer partners. But being able to present it in a way that we're keeping up and understanding what y'all are presenting. And it's really fascinating to see the outcomes of everything, but capstones are neat. What about you? Did you think of one?
I have 2, both because I really enjoyed the teams that I worked on with. So the first one was actually my first pod project, which is like a small little group that you work on the side outside of the curriculum with to develop something. The first project, it was silly. It was a fortune cookie website, and you just clicked it and it randomized everything. It was so silly. But working with the team and getting the Kanban working, the mood board, just communicating with your teammates. That was my favorite part. Same thing happened with my capstone. We created a website that gave parents or grandparents the opportunity to read stories to their children, record it online, and share it with the friends that they've requested and approved. So they can actually listen to those stories from far away, it worked out perfectly because of COVID happening. And my basis was because of deployments. My husband was deployed for the first 6 months that I had my daughter. So he didn't really have that opportunity to bond with her and her listen to him. I thought that a website like that would be really neat to have.
Yeah, and perfect time with 2020, super relevant. Well, very cool. So both of y'all mentioned, like, in your favorite projects, a big part of why it was your favorite was just the communication and the teamwork. Would love for y'all to share what y'all are doing now, like where you're working and some of the tasks that you're assigned. And then I'm not sure, are y'all working with teams probably on a daily basis? But if y'all could just do a little overview of what you're up to now and what that looks like, that'd be awesome. Taryn, you want to start? She's like, I just talked.
Okay, I can't speak to too much of what we do here. We do work with the Special Warfare for the Air Force, and we kind of help them with human performance and human performance data and making that usable visualizations with that. So on a daily basis, I work with maybe paired programming would be a big thing here. Working in a small team of 2 to kind of get things done. It's pretty easy going, so.
Good. Glad to hear you're doing well. Understand you can't share too much, but it's good that you're still getting to work in teams. You're not all by yourself. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, so I already mentioned it, but I'm a decision science analyst for USAA. I specifically work with what we call our advice team. So anytime, if you're a USAA member, or any bank usually has these, where you get financial advice and life advice on the different things that are going on in your life, whether it's retirement or life insurance or moving or car insurance or any of those things that just come up in life. And basically what we do is we are trying to best tailor who we're targeting and who we're trying to help with the information. So we use a lot of data and analytics to try and make sure that the right people are seeing the right advice that they would need for their specific financial situation. So we do a lot of like classification, and we do a lot of We do a lot with like behavioral analysis based on how people are interacting with our website to try and kind of help direct, just kind of to best direct their experience. And it's cool because I specifically get to work with, we call it our military life. So anytime there's people in the military that are PCSing to a new duty station, or if they're deploying, or if they're getting out of the military or joining the military, the work that I do specifically is tailored to helping them. So it's pretty cool. Just kind of seeing how, because people don't even think, they don't realize how they act in groups, but it's cool. Like saying, oh, well, this type of person, you know, oh, they need this kind of help. And we kind of help direct them towards that so that they're not just aimlessly walking through life and not getting what they need from a veteran focused bank like USA.
That's really cool. Crazy. It's like you explain that to me. I'm like, that is really
It's
wild.
weird.
That's
Yeah.
really wild. It's really neat though. Well, very cool. Thank y'all for sharing that. As far as, you know, your experience in the military, how do you think that has translated to helping you be successful at Codeup? What are y'all thinking?
Yeah, so for me, and I've kind of talked with some other people about this in the past, the way the military does schooling is very similar to how Codeup does their school. It's very condensed. It's all day, every day. It's, you know, you're fully immersed in what you're doing. I went through the Defense Language Institute to learn Spanish, and it's a very, very similar type program. You know, it's 9 hours a day. All you're doing is Spanish all day, every day. So transitioning from that learning style and then going into Codeup, it felt so familiar. It was such an easy transition, just because that's kind of how the military prepares you to learn. It's very hands-on, it's very condensed. So for me, it was the perfect type of program, what I was super used to.
That's good. Like the structure was smooth. Okay, cool. What about you, Taryn? Is similar or anything kind of different there?
No, I think Jeffrey hit it on the head. In the Marine Corps, you're basically drinking from a fire hose when they teach you something, and that's exactly what Codeup does. But they do it in a way that's manageable. And I don't know, I think my skill of being stubborn really translated over pretty good. So got to be stubborn to code and not give up on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, definitely. Because you're going to fail. It's kind of part of it, but like getting back up and trying to figure it out. That makes sense. What about how your military background translates into your current role? You know, we're both working for military companies, but was just curious on that.
I think project management for me really translated over well, because I was doing storyboards, I was tracking projects and trying to stay on top of timelines, and it's the same thing all across the board.
Good. Anything for you, Jeff, as far as like your military background and how that has maybe correlated or translated into your current role?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just kind of the organization that you learn when you're in the military. Like, you're kind of in charge of your own career and keeping track of your own career. And that has served me really well being in the civilian world, because a lot of people, I think, they just go to their job and do their job every day. But as someone that's in the military, I'm always tracking my performance, and I'm seeing where I'm at compared to my peers, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm recording that and keeping track of that. So for me, that's been a really big, you know, when you go to your boss and you're like, hey, I want a raise, and you have we call it a brag sheet in the Navy, and you have this list of reasons why you're awesome and things that you've done. And for me, that's been, not that you're, trying to toot your own horn, but being able to be in command of your own career is really, really important in the civilian world. And I don't think it's a skill that a lot of people learn. So for me, I mean, that applies across all industries, but it's served me really well in the tech industry for sure.
Yeah, especially as y'all continue to learn and grow. Like, it's something that you'll have to do, which when technology is always changing, but that's good. Well, awesome. It's really exciting to hear from y'all. I love getting to talk with the alumni. But for those that are incoming students or thinking about Codeup, do you have any advice for those incoming Codeup students? Taryn, you want to go? You always look surprised when I call on you.
No, not me. No, take notes. make notes on every line of code that you make, because when you come back to it later, you're going to be like, what does this mean? And if you have a comment there, you know what it means, because it's like a little love note to your future self. So
We're going to quote that. Marketing, we'll write that down. That's cute. What about you, Jeff? Any words of advice for those incoming students?
Do all of your pre-work at least once. All of it. Just do all your pre-work. Do all of the homework and then erase it and then do it again, or push it to GitHub and then do it again. Leverage your teachers. They're all amazing and they're wonderful and they're super smart, and they can give you massive shortcuts to solving your problems when you're coding. And definitely leave yourself future self-love notes. That's great advice.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's good advice. I'm sure we'll send this to the future students and they'll be like, yes, wrote myself some love notes. Thank y'all for sharing. Well, that's really the main questions that I had. I know that we don't have too big of an audience right now, but if there are any questions, I at least wanted to pause before I just keep asking them questions to give you all a chance to maybe ask them anything. Okay, here we go. We got one. What is the single biggest challenge you faced in your transition? So clarifying, transition from like military to Codeup, or Codeup to working now in field, or both? Unless, like Jeff, Taryn, you'll have a specific answer that y'all like, oh, I know my biggest challenge, then y'all can share that. Y'all's thinking faces are on.
We want to
Okay.
get a chance.
Yeah, they said let's do both, or their choice.
Biggest challenge you faced in transition? Man. Let's see. Not showing up early everywhere was a bit weird for me. I remember when I first went in the corporate world, a meeting was at like 10 a.m. and I showed up at like 9:45, and they were like, what are you doing? I was like, this is a 10 a.m. meeting. They're like, go back to your desk and work until 10. Because in the corporate world, like if a meeting's at 10, you show up at 10. But in the military, you show up everywhere like crazy early. So that was a little bit weird for me. Not being able to be quite as boisterous in the civilian world. I don't know a nice way to say that, but in the military, we're very crass and loud, and we say whatever we want, possibly with some expletives. And it's a little frowned upon in the civilian world. So that was a bit of a transition.
That's a good one.
But it's like fine. I made it.
Yeah, you're here. Yeah.
You just get the side eye if you say something it's inappropriate.
Then
it's all
like,
good.
oh.
Like, oh, sorry, my bad.
I like that. What about you? I'm like looking down.
Transitioning from the military to the civilian world, my biggest challenge was, I don't know.
You're on spot. Yeah.
I haven't had time to think about it too. Dear Lord.
You seem like the person that just kind of like, you take it and like, that's what it is. So you just kind of gotta run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think knowing my benefits, they call them benefits, the opportunities that are afforded to veterans, and actually utilizing those. I was very fortunate enough to have my mother, was not a veteran or anything, but she was a spouse, and she knows everything. She's like a textbook for veteran stuff. So she's like, why aren't you using this? And I was like, I don't know, should I? So she's always pushing me in that regard, but knowing your benefits and what's available to you before you go in, I don't know, take out a student loan for who knows how much, GI Bill, so that helps.
Yeah, that is good because we all need that. She should come and help our students. So you do have a lot of resources, you just aren't aware.
Yeah,
It's a
I
good
think
piece.
there's vet tech. That was one I heard when I was in Codeup. I had never even heard of that one before.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit newer, but very exciting. It's a great program. Cool. Any other questions? Not sure if there's any more out there. Yeah. I think elaborating on resources for understanding your veteran benefits would be helpful. Okay, like elaborating on like GI Bill and just VA benefits a little bit?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious one is the GI Bill. Most people know about that one, and Codeup is approved for that. But there's so many other resources out there, like Vet Tech. I know when I was applying, before I got hired by USA, when I was applying for jobs, oh, dang it, what is the name of that website? Steven who is our placement director. He was helping us. I'm going to find the name of the exact program, but basically it was free for veterans to sign up for this, and it was career track programs that I could work on.
Oh.
It was kind of an extension of Codeup, so it was more data science stuff that I could work on. I'll try and find the name of it and put it in chat so you can have the link for it. But there's so many little free resources out there like that for veterans, and it's not really an official benefit, but in the military, like, your friends are spread far and wide, so you really have to leverage that network. Like, it's so cliche and sounds so corny, but it's the biggest thing you have, is you're in this fraternity of people that are, you meet someone that's in the military, you start off as friends. Like, that's the starting point for where you are. Like, oh, you were in the Navy or you in the Marine Corps, then you're basically already, you have this built-in friendship network of people. Like, I've helped people get jobs that are veterans that I barely even know, just because they're veterans. And I know, I know what they did in the military, and I know that they're going to be a quality person. So
Awesome.
that is really the biggest thing, because there's so many resources out there. Like, leverage your network to find out what other resources are, like Taryn mom and all that. Like, there's too many to be able to keep track of them all. But, like, I might know a couple, and she might know a couple, and someone else might know a couple. There's just, it's unlimited. If you don't know any resources, like, just start asking and put your hand up and start asking the questions.
Yeah, that's powerful. I like that.
There's no like master document of benefits that you can use. It really is just networking and trying to figure out what is what. There's also the VRNE program. I think they changed the name again.
Yeah.
I used that to go through Codeup. I didn't actually use my GI Bill. GI Bill for the degree, and then VRNE for the Codeup certificate. So
yeah.
There's also Hire for Heroes to get your resume done. They'll look at your job that you had in the military, and they will write your resume for you. But if they don't know what, like videography, they didn't know how that would translate. So it's a hit or miss whether or not they actually know what you did and how to translate that. But that's another free available to veterans. I think it's like a nonprofit.
Yeah. So it sounds like just start utilizing people that you know and seeing what all is out there. It sounds like a lot. Good. But yeah, as y'all mentioned with Codeup, we do accept VA benefits. So that would include like your GI Bill, Vet Tech. They did change it. I know I've still been calling it vocational rehab, but I think they rechanged it. Changes pretty frequently. But we also have a financial aid and enrollment manager that you'll work with after acceptance in, and they'll help you navigate all those different options and get it sorted out. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Any other questions? It's like eyeing the chat. Let me pull up my list of questions.
I will say that going through with the GI Bill, you just get like BAH, and then also they pay for your school. But with VRNE, you not only get BAH, your school's paid for, but they also supply you with all the materials that you'll need for the course. So free MacBook, not free, but you know, a
Provided,
MacBook. They get me a printer with printer ink, anything I can need for the laptop. So like a carrying case, a book bag. So
Wow.
they really set you up for success in that program. You do need to be 30%, I want to say 30% disability rating with the VA to get that. But they also work with spouses and other things too. So it really depends on your case.
Yeah, it was very specific to each person. So definitely reach out to the VA in regards to that. But yeah, there's one student that started, and I'm pretty sure they paid for like his internet router since we had moved into a virtual platform, which is really cool. But yeah, Jeff, thank you for dropping that link. It'd be helpful. We'll have to look into that too.
Yeah, and Steven knows more about it.
Okay.
I signed up for it, and then like 3 days later, I got my job, so I didn't dive into it as much as I thought I was going to. But
Wow. Just 3 days later.
I mean, it only took 11 days. I mean, I waited around forever to get hired, you know?
Love that. Alrighty. Well, feel free to throw any more questions in the chat. I guess and we kind of talked about a piece of advice, but any advice for anybody kind of thinking about applying to Codeup, or maybe they just started the early stages of their admissions process? Do y'all have any advice for those that aren't too sure? I see y'all think this is another curveball. Just advice for people.
Yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend people to if you're not happy with the work that you're doing, like, this is a really good field to be in, and it's a very diverse field. I mean, you can, like, the places that we got hired, that our students are getting hired, is so varied that, like, you're going to get into an industry that's interesting to you. I mean, it's banking and military and, you know, straight tech type stuff. And I'm trying to think of other places. We had a guy that got hired by a plumbing company. Like, that's so random, but
yeah,
like, so
Vision works. It is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's so, like, I mean, you know, you have to, I mean, you got to be sharp to get through the program, but I mean, a lot of hard work will, you know, go super smart. I'm super smart, and I made it through. So it's if you want it, and if you put the time in and you dedicate yourself, you'll get through, and you're going to get a lot out of it. So I wasn't the smartest kid in class. Like, I'm pretty sure I was bottom half, but that's fine. Like, if they pass, like, if you get through the program, if they accept you, then you have what it takes to get through the program. They don't let people into the program that aren't going to make it through. So just apply. And if you're worried about not being ready, they'll tell you if you're not. And if they say you are, then you have what it takes to get through the class. So.
That's good. Good advice. Thank you. Couldn't have said it better myself. What about you? Any advice?
I don't know, just do the pre-work. Like Jeffrey said earlier, those 101 JavaScript exercises for the web development guys. That's, I looked at it and I was like, how am I going to get through this? And I was over here doing rejects for them, like a ding dong. And come into Codeup and they're like, why are you doing this? You even know what this means? And I was like, I have no idea, but that's what I did and it works. So they showed me like different ways to do it. But it really kind of sets you up for success doing those pre-work exercises.
Yeah, I bet if you look back on it now and were to open it, you'd be like, oh, this isn't so bad. I've started them. I have not completed them.
Some of them are hard, even still. I'm like, oh man, how did I do this again?
I'm sure.
Like, Ryan, I blame Ryan. He makes them tricky.
Ryan created both.
I think he did both, right?
And web development.
Yeah, he did.
He's the culprit. All right. Well, do the pre-work. Good advice. All right. Well, that's really all the questions that I have. If anybody has any last minute questions, y'all can throw them out. If not, Jeff, Taryn, if y'all have any last minute statements, I really appreciate y'all doing this. It's great to hear from y'all. I'm glad y'all are doing well too. Makes me happy.
It's always fun to be back, see Codeup people.
Yeah, it's great to talk with you a little bit. I mean, I work with Codeup students all the time. I have nine people, but we have 8 are Codeup students. So
It's crazy. Man, I'm
gonna-
jealous.
gonna hang out with my Fortuna class again.
That's like my one disappointment, man, is that I did not get placed with anyone from Codeup. I was so sad. I applied at a company. They didn't have a position open. Then they hired 3 Codeup people from Bays, and then they asked me to come for a 4th position, but I was already in a job, and I was so sad. I mean, I was happy had a job, but I was like, man, I wish I was with my friends. But I guess that's the one thing is the best for me about Codeup. I'll kind of say this as a unsolicited comment, is that it's the only thing that I've done outside of the military that kind of had that same family vibe to it, where, you know, when you go on a deployment or you get, you know, you're stationed somewhere, you become a family with the people that you see every day and that you interact with every day. And Codeup has that same vibe. So for me, it felt like home. So I was really happy to have that vibe back again, where it's like, oh, I'm seeing these same people every day. We're going through the struggle together. We're growing together, you know, and then you come out on the other side and you've accomplished something. So for me, if a lot of veterans like deploying and they like the feeling that comes from deploying. So for me, that was kind of nice to recapture that a little bit. So.
Yeah, I like that connection.
Yeah.
That's so heartwarming. Are y'all, last question. I know I said that I had no more questions, but are y'all working from the office or working from home or from France?
I work from the office. We're kind of essential. We're essential.
Must be nice to say that.
We are work from home till January 1st at a minimum, which I don't love. Like, even though I'm a programmer, I like people and I like seeing people. I know the stereotype is that coders are not very social, but that's not true. At least not for all of us. You know, there's a lot of super social people that go to Codeup, and I miss people. So
yeah, that human interaction.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough.
Yeah, well, only up. So awesome. Well, that was my last question. I was just curious. I didn't see where you were at, Jeffy, because your background. I was like, I think Taryn's in an office.
Hold on. Let's see.
They're waving.
Hold on. I'm outside at Panera.
Wow. I miss that place. All righty. Well, thank y'all again. This has been fun. Good little lunch break. Let y'all, if y'all haven't eaten lunch, go eat something.
Thank you, guys.
Come on over to Panera and eat with me.
Yay. Could use a croissant. All right.